Hello everyone, welcome back to Guy and Game, and today I'm going to be reviewing the new James Bond game, which is 007 First Light by IOI Interactive. This will be a spoiler-free review, so if you haven't played the game, don't worry. So yeah, just right off the bat, I'm going to tell you I think this game is a 9 out of 10, to be completely honest with you. This is most likely going to be my game of the year personally. I can't really see anything else coming out topping that for me. I know you're gonna say, "Oh, Guy, and what about GTA? What about GTA?" And I can definitely see the appeal of GTA 6. Of course, it's a huge, huge game. The industry's been waiting on for many years. But just me personally, I'm not a huge GTA guy. But I definitely get the appeal there. The only competitor for me with this game for Game of the Year would maybe be Danganronpa 2x2, but that's just because I'm a big Danganronpa fan. So it's exciting to have a new game in the series. But yeah, we'll get right into the review. So yeah, starting out with the positives, and believe me, there are a lot of positives. I'm gonna go with the biggest one, which is the combat. Now, chances are you've heard people talking about this, and I promise you they're underselling it. It feels so fluid and smooth to play. The gunplay here is a big improvement from Hitman. As much as I love those games, yeah, those games are a lot more stealth and action, so it makes sense that guns were a lot less powerful there. But they feel so nice to use here. But even more importantly than that, I would say, is the hand-to-hand combat is just incredible. It's just so fluid, and you feel so in control, which sometimes isn't the case in a lot of these games. But in this one specifically, you control every single movement. It never feels like the game's forcing you to do something. Like when you lose in a fight, it always feels like your fault, which is good. Never feels like the game's just being buggy or anything. But yeah, like I said, hand-to-hand combat is amazing. And sort of linking in with that is the action set pieces in this game are just class, just really top-notch stuff. I've heard this game described a lot as Uncharted meets Hitman, and I honestly could not agree more. Like, there's some really, I don't want to spoil it for you, there's some really great set pieces in here. I think this was in like the little preview they showed, and I'm not going to go into detail, but there is a certain plane-related set piece that is very, very memorable. And yeah, set pieces in this game are great. Now, another thing which I haven't heard mentioned as much is the characters in this game. Now, they're not the greatest in fiction. I'm not gonna go that far, but I'd say the longer runtime of this game, it took me about 13 hours, but I sort of rushed through it a little bit, you could say. Well, speaking on that, the pacing does feel just like a James Bond movie, while being like I don't know, 10. Well, if you play, the average runtime is like 20 hours, so it's like 10 hours longer than or 10 times, sorry, the length of a usual Bond movie, but it feels like the exact same pacing, which is great. But anyway, that longer runtime does allow all the characters to have a bit more screen time, which really makes you develop a bigger connection to them, I'd say, which is handled very well. Especially your fellow members of the Double O program, which was Cress and Monroe. I felt like they were actually really likable, which I wasn't expecting at first, to be honest, since I believe they're original to this game. But yeah, I really did enjoy them, and of course, Greenway it was a huge standout. I liked him and Moneypenny; they're both favourites of mine. And yeah, I think the game does handle the characters quite well, which I was a little surprised by, I have to admit. As much like I said, Hitman Modern Hitman Trilogy probably one of my favorite games ever, but the characters in there, aside from of course Agent 47 and Indiana Burnwood, aren't the most memorable. But this game really fixes that issue, I'd say. So props to the IOI writing team. And moving back into gameplay, I think the stealth is handled really well. Like when if you mess up during one of the missions and someone sees you, chances are, unless you really fuck up, that it's only going to be a few guards nearby that are alerted, which is nice instead of the whole compound shutting down on you. Only the next few, or sorry, only the those guards in proximity will be alerted, and you can easily take them down and contain the situation, which is nice. So the stealth is well executed, and again, you feel very in control. If you mess up, it does feel like your own fault, which is again very appreciated. And of course, I can't talk about a Bond game without mentioning the man himself, James Bond. I think the actor's name is Patrick Gibson or something, and I have to say he played it extraordinarily well. He really got the charm and everything down. It was a really great performance, I felt, and yeah. Honestly, if he if he was the next live action Bond, I wouldn't complain, but obviously that's probably not going to happen. So we'll see who Amazon gets to fit the bill. But as for Patrick, I feel like he did a great job here. One thing I think this game does really well is the levels. Each one feels like completely distinct. They're like a really diverse lineup, so it's not just like 10 levels set in a city, two set in like, I don't know, a nice place or something. It's more like one set in a city, one set in these snowy mountains, one set in the desert, one set in this tropical resort. Like it really takes you all over. It really feels like a globe-trotting adventure, like a classic Bond should. And yeah, I was really happy with the diversity featured in the locations. They're like really all very different from each other and very memorable. And every level has great design for one, but also there's multiple approaches to every level, which I really think helps with replayability. It's much again to make another Hitman comparison. It's not as open-ended as Hitman, like it's a lot more linear, but you're still given a lot of freedom in each level and how you want to approach each task, which I much appreciated. But yeah, moving off from the glaze, I have a few minor nitpicks that prevent it from being a 10 out of 10, but to be honest, they're all really small. So yeah, let's just get into those. First, maybe the biggest one for me is that the ending felt quite abrupt. I didn't really have an issue with how it ended. They did leave it a little ambiguous about a certain element, which I'm not going to spoil, but it did just feel a bit abrupt to me. I don't know if that was just me. I was expecting. It's not that I needed the game to be longer. It's just that didn't feel like the place I would have ended it personally. But that's fine. I still think it was ended pretty well within the context of the story. It just to me felt a bit abrupt. Another thing is there's a bit of a lack of post-game content, I felt. Now, not every game needs post-game but they did make a bit of an effort with some escalations in the tax sim and two operations. The escalations work quite similarly to Hitman, which is fine. It was pretty fun to play through them. And then the operations too were also kind of a fun addition. But like, there's five escalations and two operations, and they do not take very long to complete. Now, I know I sound very greedy here, asking for more on top of the main game, and knowing IOI and how long they continued support for Hitman 3, which is great, I feel pretty confident that we probably will be getting more content, so this complaint probably won't be an issue for much longer. And also, the main story is completely grand. It's just a minor complaint that I wanted more because I'm greedy and I love this game. One other thing is that the story isn't anything groundbreaking. Like I said, did really enjoy the characters, but the story is very much your classic Bond setup, which does exactly what it needs to for the game, but don't go in expecting Red Dead 2 or whatever. Like, it's not something that's going to really make you think. Although I did like what they did with the villain, and yeah, there is a little bit of commentary there, although to say what it's commentary on, again, it would be spoilers, but I feel like you'll know it when you see it. And yeah, it was quite fun. And I thought that aspect in particular with the villain was well handled, but yeah, you'll see if you decide to play, or if you've played already, you know what I'm talking about. Then lastly, there is some small visual bugs throughout that I noticed, like in one when Bond was talking to a character, he just kept on walking. There's a few other small little things like that, but it really did not impede on the gameplay whatsoever, which I was happy overall with. Again, it's like the second or third day of the game being out. I'm expecting a few little bugs, and thankfully there weren't anything bigger than that. But yeah, overall, very, very positive thoughts on the James Bond game. Like I said, 9 out of 10 for me. Probably my game of the year, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, also I am a very small channel. Probably when you're seeing this, I'll only have 0 subscribers still. So if you could like and subscribe, it would really help me boost my videos to the algorithms, and I would much appreciate it. But yeah, that's all I have to say about 007 First Light. Thank you for watching.